Hi, everyone. Welcome to the medical briefing for the 2001 Odyssey Mackinac Island event, Sunday, August 29th. We're glad all of you could join us. Thanks for signing up for that. We really appreciate it. Couldn't do it without folks like you. So we just wanted to take a minute on this Zoom call. Myself, Lars Fananger on the top left there. He's the founder of Odyssey, and him and I switch back and forth between directing events depending on where they are in the US. Brian King down there on the bottom. He lives in the Houston area with Lars. I used to live there, moved back up to Michigan, and that's why I'm directing this event along with the Ludington event. So again, thank you guys. So we want to go over some of the protocol, positioning on the maps, timing, things like that. So I'm just going to share my screen and jump right in, guys. Okay, so what you see in front of you is one of our race course maps that I converted to an operational map. This is solely for our boats, our kayaks, our volunteers, and our medics or our medical team. I know not all of you are medics. We have medics, EMTs, police and fire, doctors, nurses. So it's made up of a pretty diverse group. If you want to know anything about the boats and the kayaks, we actually did a separate meeting, a Zoom meeting with that. We will post that video separately on our YouTube channel. We encourage you to watch that as well, just so you know, especially if you're one of the medics or the medical team that's positioned around the outer ring road, then it would help if you knew kind of the protocol for those boats and how that works. So definitely watch that. But this is centered more around specific medical protocol. As of today, we have 8 different positions, not counting Brian as the roaming medic. And so those 8 positions are what I'll go over right now. We have medic number 1. Now, actually, let me take a step back, guys. I know that some of you are coming from the mainland. So any medical team member that's coming from the mainland that morning, I'm going to send you specific information on where the ferry is in Mackinac City. I'm assuming most of you are familiar. If you're going to be the medical team, you're probably pretty close up there, but you're going to board the Shepler ferry with the athletes in Mackinac City. That board starting at between 5:30 and 6 o'clock. You'll park in their day use parking lot, and it's about a half-mile walk, or you can take a shuttle over, but they will leave at 6 o'clock sharp. Now, I've talked to Brian. He is actually going to take the ferry over in the morning. So he'll have tickets for you guys and get you on that ferry, so you don't have to pay for that. So just see Brian in the morning. You guys can talk medical on the way over. It's about a 15-16 minute ride over on the ferry, and it'll dump you right at the start. Now, some of you are on the island already, and that's great. So you don't take the ferry, make your way down to the start, which is at the Shepler's ferry dock. They're actually letting us start on the dock itself. So if you're on the island, bring your bike down and come see us. Starting as early as maybe 6 o'clock, 6:30, whenever the meeting time I set up with Brian, that'll be in the email I send you, and I'll tell you exactly when to get to that dock. The rest of you will be on the ferry. You'll get dumped off there about 6:20, and then Brian will take all of you into a group on the side, off to the side of the start. We will have bikes. Any of you that are on the ferry or that just need a bike in general, we will rent. We will have enough bikes there, helmets. If you have a helmet, you want to bring it, that's fine. But we will have bikes there if you need them. I've marked down who needs a bike and who doesn't. And you can ride that bike when you're done. Just turn it back in. I'll also list in the email how to turn that back in. I don't know if you're going to give that back to us or directly to whoever we rent that from. I'll work that out and let you know. But Brian will dispatch you from there. You will, prior to that, have your assignments anyway. You'll know what times you're patrolling the certain areas. But now we'll start off with medic number 1. So all of you are here by Shepler's dock, and you will disperse from there. Medic number 1 will patrol the ring road here down to swim 1, hang out maybe at the start, go over to the exit of the swim, and then just kind of work his or her way all the way over and patrol this whole area of the first and the second swim. And medic 1 will also then, after those are done, make way to the finish line and stay there. I do believe that's going to be my cousin, Kevin Pallian. So he will be patrolling that. Now, in general, so that you guys know, if you're working an area that has the swims, swim start is marked with a yellow cone. Orange buoy gets them out deep enough in the water so they can start swimming when they see the orange buoy. That is the only buoy and marker we have. Kayaks lead the way the rest of the way. The exit is marked with an orange cone. And the water stop and the volunteer there, the volunteer will be wearing the bright yellow next to the orange cone, and we'll have water, electrolytes, gels, and at the longer swims, butter and bananas. So as medic, we're also going to get some backpacks, lightweight ones you can carry around with you. They'll have water, maybe some energy drinks, some gels, whatever in the back, so that you can get them some calories and some hydration if you need to. But if you ever need to refill or get them to a station, at the end of every swim, there's one of those hydration stations that you can do what you need to do at. So let's see. So that's medic number one. Medic number, and then I'm going to skip over to you, Brian. I haven't even told you this, but since medical number one is going to patrol this area and stay on ground and go to finish, Brian, I thought you being the roaming person or the roaming medical could follow the race along with Lars and also our guy in the back following the last person. You could follow on run 1 and run 2 and monitor that area. And then from there, do whatever you need to do. Now, skipping up to medic number 2. Medic number 2, you're likely not going to take the route of climbing up all the stairs on Arch Rock, that area there with your bike. I'd suggest probably riding up the center on Garrison Road and then working your way in to get to where medic 2 is positioned. Now, Leslie Avenue runs along Tranquil Bluff Trail. Odds are you're not going to be able to ride your bike on Tranquil Bluff Trail. In fact, I don't think that's allowed. It's a single track, lots of roots, lots of rocks, very narrow. But what you can do is patrol Leslie Avenue. Leslie Avenue in a number of areas actually butts up to Tranquil Bluff Trail. You can see it. You could park your bike, lock it off to a tree, and actually walk up to Tranquil Bluff Trail and just walk this trail if you don't want to use your bike from that point on. That's fine. But the athletes will be on this trail starting from Arch Rock. And so just past Arch Rock, all the way up to Scotts Road is where medical number 2 will be patrolling here. Now, medical number 2 will kind of work with medical number 5 to monitor this purple line here. This purple line here is a connection point. Up until right here on the course, we have all long and short course athletes running together. But right where this blue line hits this pink or purple line, this is the connection for short course to cut through and join later with the course so that they don't do all of this up in here that you see. That's what makes it short course. So between medical number 5 and medical number 2, you guys are going to have to kind of keep an eye on this. And I'm assuming, Brian, you'll kind of be up in this area too. So keep an eye on this right here. So medical number 2 between that and Scotts Road will kind of go to where this out and back is here. And I'm not 100% on this grade. I haven't been allowed to go back here in a little bit because of the construction, which shouldn't be a problem for our race. But I don't know how big the grade is here. I think it goes up, or it's quite steep. So, you know, maybe this medical comes down to about this point, and this guy here or gal is coming up and down through here as well. You guys can kind of talk and work out who monitors this, but definitely medical 3 is going to be monitoring this swim, riding the perimeter road back and forth here, just checking all this out. If any of you guys have sets of binoculars, we don't, but if you have anything like that, that'll help you get a better eye on people, that's great as well. So a lot of this is the same from there. And
Aaron, do you want to mention what a swimmer who is in distress, what we've told them to do?
So in the water, if they're in distress, they'll do things like, one of the big things is if it's a solo athlete, they have a rest tube around their waist. Looks like this. And so they will pull this if they're in distress, or they should. And a big yellow tube comes out of there, a big yellow buoy that they can hold on to. There's also a whistle on this. It's louder. I had it upside down. So they can blow on that. You'll hear that. They're supposed to carry a whistle with them, everyone anyway. Teams don't have to carry the buoys because they're a team. They can look out for each other. If they're in the water and they're in distress, they'll perhaps hold on to a kayak if there's one close by, but we've told them to lean back, wave their arms in the air. If they can yell, but that's what the whistle's for, so they're not tiring themselves out even more. But we also have, that's part of watching the water vessel video as well, just to know what they're doing out there. But if you're on shore, just look for those things. Certainly, if you're on shore and you want to go out in the water a little bit to get them as they're coming in, keep in mind, it doesn't drop off super quick in most areas around the island, especially our swims that I've seen. Maybe over here on swim 4, it drops off. But if you want to go out waist deep or chest deep and help them come in, that's perfectly acceptable. Sure, you're wet, but if they're in distress and need your help, feel free to go in and go get them. As far as on land, Lars, and Brian, what has been your experience? I mean, we haven't had a lot of medical cases. From what I've seen with bumps and scratches and bruises and scrapes and bleeding and stuff, we have them keep a compression bandage on them. It's mandatory, and they're supposed to know how to use that and put it on themselves. And other than that, they kind of just press through that stuff. If they're lightheaded, they sit down, they look for somebody. Talk a little bit on that, guys, if you can.
Yes, on 90% of the time, if someone gets hurt, they're going to keep racing. You know, most of them, they fall, they trip, they cut their leg up. They're going to keep going. And you probably won't even know anything until they get to the finish line. That's when they say, okay, I fell, or anything like that. As far as knowing, if you're on one part of the course, most of the racers will tell you, hey, half-mile back, there's a guy laying on the ground. You know, they might even give you a number. They're really good about that, helping out. So the runners are really, you know, in theory, part of the medical team, because they always tell you, hey, you know, a mile back, there's a guy laying down on the ground. You know, I think he fell. You know, he told me to go get help. So, and you just go back to course, you know, and you know, you will find that person.
Yeah, I think Aaron, really quick, I would say the biggest thing that would be potentially the most concerning for us, because most of it's going to be like a rolled ankle, you know, at the worst. But because of the long periods of time that someone could be exposed in the water, and I mean, when Aaron was up there, it was 70 degrees, but let's just say it was 60 degrees. The long periods of exposure in the water could cause the body to break down, especially later in the race. So especially if they stop racing, the point of this racing is to keep moving forward, to keep the body warm. But if they stop racing, the body will start to shut down, as you know. And so potentially some hypothermia setting in. That's kind of the worst that we've really seen. Otherwise, just like Brian said, they're going to keep moving.
Well, and that's the worst we've seen. We haven't, you know, if it's serious, you're going to call 911. Brian, do you want to speak a little bit to how you expect the medical team to handle certain situations and who to call and what to do?
Yes. Simple scrapes and bruises. You know, clean them up, wrap them, let them keep going. You can shoot me a text with their number. That way, at the finish line, we're looking for that person. If you do see someone in distress, but it is non-life-threatening, you know, everyone was chosen here, you know, for your medical expertise in any field that you're in. So if you think it's life-threatening, first call is 911. That is the very first call. If there is a volunteer by you, the volunteer calls 911. You call me so I can get to that point. There is no vehicles on the island, but if I'm not mistaken, EMS has vehicles, correct?
Yeah, there's ambulances, fire trucks, police cars or trucks, things like that. So, and they can get there pretty much anywhere they can. I mean, there's very few areas they can't get to rather quickly. So that's definitely a good thing. And one of the things that go ahead, Brian, finish what you were saying. Sorry about that.
Most cases, someone not going, you know, they're going into rhabdo, they're cramping up too much, you know, at that point, you know, you can call me, we can assess the situation, call maybe a buggy or a vehicle to take that person out of the race. But if anybody does stop the race but for any reason, let's say they twisted their ankle, they're walking, but they said, I'm done, you know, call me, I'll come up, I'll try to assist that person to get back to the finish.
And I'll also include our timers information on the map right here, just to kind of shoot ahead a little bit. This will be a front and back print that I give all of you on waterproof paper, so it should last. Down at the bottom, you see our information here, but I will also put the timer on there, Tony Sapp. Go ahead and, you know, obviously if it's a serious case, we want to know the number of the athletes so we can identify them, call their emergency contact. We're not as concerned with making sure they're not in the race anymore and their time doesn't count or whatever, you know, obviously in an emergency. But if we still need to know that information, especially if it's not an emergency, they just decide they don't want to continue. We need to know that for a number of reasons. One is the results, but the bigger reason is because we don't want to be looking for people out there. So go ahead and if you don't necessarily need to call and it's not very serious, but they're out, maybe just text. You could group text to the timer, to Brian and to me or Lars or whoever. Let us know, say, hey, this number's out. They're fine. They're going to walk back. No problem. I just wanted to let you know. And go ahead and you could take their chip from them on their ankle, or if they're heading back towards the finish, just remind them to turn it in. Either way works for us. So, Brian, was there anything else you wanted to say before I continue on?
No, just reiterate. If you feel it's life threatening, first call is 911. That is the very first call.
Yep. I will say that we, at the very least, will be checking people out of the water. Checking people in is a little tougher. They tend to want to get in the water quicker than they exit the water, and sometimes it's in larger groups. If we have enough volunteers sign up, we may attempt that, but let's say just for now that the only thing we're going to be doing as far as checking people out is when they get out of the swim. We will have that aid station, as I said, and the person wearing the yellow vest that will be waving them out by the cone, by the orange cone, and they will be taking numbers. So they'll have an app or they'll have Google Sheets on their phone and they will be typing in the number. So our timer and our medical directors, everybody can see those numbers in real time as they get out. So when the last swimmer gets out, the overall count needs to match on each one. If we're one short, but no one reported that they were out of the race, then we've got a problem. So the systems work pretty well in the past. We haven't even, I mean, we've known that where everyone is for the most part. So we're just going to keep that going as is. So that's our checkout system of each swim. And then we rely on the medical to monitor the trails more than anything. Going up to, we left off on medical number 4. So medical number 3 is this swim. Medical number 4 monitors run 4. So one of the things too is you can just see medical number 2 is R3, run 3. Medical number 3 is S3, swim 3. Then run 4 is medical number 4. This trail here goes back and forth between sections that are rideable and not. You could get through here, but there's ways you can get up to here and back around this area. So do what you can. It's not super long. You can walk it too. It's beautiful back there, shaded, so you're good. Down here, we have medical number. So this skipped over. Sorry about this, guys. So it goes from medical 4 to medical 5 being right here. And the reason for that is because medical 6 monitors both of these swims. So medical 4 is run 4. Medical 5 is run 5. And then medical 6 monitors swim 4 and swim 5. So for someone who's listening to this whole thing, the whole thing doesn't really concern you. You're going to be assigned to one spot. You'll know what that is. It'll be super easy to do. The times here that I forgot to mention too, see these times in red, they're associated with the time that athletes should come through each section. The very fastest and the very slowest. Obviously, if the area is not clear, you haven't seen Brian or you haven't seen the guy we're having follow the last athlete, then you're not clear to go, even if that time has passed. These are rough estimates. So I would be out there even a little before the start, and you may stay a little bit after what's on here. Okay, guys. So medical number 6 monitors swim 5 and 4, and then they're going to run
Hey,
down.
Aaron, really quick
Yeah.
for clarification, does medical 5 also cover British Landing Road and Partridge Trail?
Yes, they're going to monitor this entire area here. So medical number 5 is going to be riding quite a bit more, but British Landing is a big paved road. It's relatively easy to ride. So you should, whoever medical 5 ends up being, you're going to be able to ride and monitor this whole thing probably quicker than a lot of the other medical team members. Partridge Trail, again, a little tougher, a little more narrow, but definitely doable. So anyway, going down here, once they're out of swim 5, they're going to this is one of the only sections that they've got kind of a long, just flat paved road they're running on the perimeter here. And they're going to go straight to Devil's Kitchen, which is, if any of you have been to the islands, you know exactly what that is. I have Medic 7 down here. Medic 7 will be responsible for monitoring this entire run 6 and swim 6. So that will also be, when I send you guys the information in your assignment, it'll say what section's on there. If you have any questions, ask myself, Brian, Lars, if he's around when you have the question on site, whatever you need. Okay, guys, we're there for you. So I don't expect Medic 7 to necessarily monitor the West Bluff area here. This is a lot of climbing, tons of stairs through the forest here. Medic 7, you can go up to the stairs and kind of peek up just to make sure that peek up those stairs and make sure no one's struggling or hurt up there. But once they get up to this trail here and go up into towards the center, up towards Garrison Road again, that's going to be the responsibility of medical number 8. And they're going to monitor as much of this red as they can. That's the last run. It's red because it overlaps some of the earlier runs. I wanted it to stand out. So your medical 8, you're going to monitor this entire red area as much as humanly possible. Now you will have help if you need it. The medical that's at the finish line is close enough, Kevin, that he could ride out and help you. I'm also assuming that Brian will be kind of just in this whole area here. So he could probably get to you quick. So could medical 5, and medical 2 by that point is probably going to be done and headed back. So everyone here is really pretty close to a lot of other medics, especially towards the end of their shifts when they're heading back. So what you guys might want to do is just send a group text to the other medics and say, hey, I'm done with my shift. I was this, I'm headed by here. Anybody need any help? So we would really appreciate that. Obviously keep checking in and out with Brian as the day progresses. Brian, what else you got?
That's it. The only other thing, we will have someone following the last athlete. So once that person passes you up, you will know that you're good. And I will try to introduce him to everyone so you do know who he is. That way we know your course is clear.
So something else I wanted to add, and I think I mentioned it to you in passing, Lars, but I'd like to try and have someone lead people out as much as possible too. So maybe you're the guy for that, since you're an awesome cyclist and kick ass. So we could talk more about that, but maybe just leading sections of it, whatever you'd like to do. So that could be advantageous along the way.
Do you think the lead and the sweeper will be in some kind of Mackinac, one of our event shirts or something like that?
Yeah.
That'll be
one of the other things though is that I have a ton of these, like more than I could ever use in a lifetime. So we could put these on people. We'll talk about that, and I can put that in the email that goes out to everybody.
Yeah, that might be helpful. Just something that makes it look different than the random tourist who's out there.
Yeah. Oh, and that's another thing, guys. So this race starts early, 6:45. And so we have to be past Arch Rock by about 9:10, right in there, or a vast majority of the athletes. So in doing so, we're going to be out of here before most of the tourists kind of start clogging up the area. The north side here, all of this up in here is relatively non-busy. However, later in the day, British Landing gets busy. The swim 4, swim 5, run 6, and swim 6 will be extremely busy later in the day. Now, from a medical standpoint, I think that's good and bad. Obviously, a little harder to spot people and all that, maybe get around a little harder, but you're going to have all those tourists. If someone has an extreme emergency out there and you're not right by them, the good thing is I can't imagine with 100 people standing around, if someone has a bad thing going on, that someone's not going to call 911. So over in here, the help that you would have in response times would be super quick, I would imagine. Brian, would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So something else, I just wanted to let you guys know. You should know the course markings so you can kind of find your way around. First of all, the athletes are going to have either a blue or a red swim cap when they're in the water. They may wear it on land. Most take it off, carry it with them. Red is long course, blue is short course. Now, I don't have their matching number bibs. They look like this, except they're not pink. Their bibs will be red or blue to match their swim cap. So wherever you're at, you can identify the athletes
Hold it up higher, Aaron.
based on this. If they don't have this on, they're likely not with the race. They should always have this on. And this goes over their outermost layer. So their wetsuit, and some of them may peel their wetsuit down, but they still have to have this on to identify them. So their number here is how we identify them. And that number should match the timing chip they have on their ankle, just so you're aware, guys. They're going to carry their own hydration and stuff on them, or at the very least, we give them this collapsible cup. It's a cupless race, so at all the aid stations, they can take this out at the very least and refill that. These are the gels we have, and then in one of the coolers, we'll have the electrolyte tabs in the water. And then the way we mark the course, if it's, well, a vast majority of the course will be marked with these, this tape. It's got our logo on it. In areas where the horses are known not to be, we will just clip this on the branches and it'll probably just be waving in the wind, or not so much, but it'll just be hanging there. Areas where the horses are known to be, this will be wrapped tightly around a branch or a trunk of a tree or a rock or something, but it should be up off the ground, hopefully, but it'll be tight so it's not blowing in the wind or moving and scares the horses. That was a stipulation the island had for us. And then other areas beyond this tape where it's tricky and there's forks in the road or the trail and we feel that there needs to be extra marking, there will be, these are like ADT security signs. We're going to drive these into the ground, and this, we can move this arrow left, right, straight, whatever. So these will also point the way. And then in some areas on pavement or rocks, we may also resort to putting arrows on things we can stick them on to guide them, but it's all yellow. And those are the 3 ways we'll mark the course. So I believe for me, that's it. You guys have anything else to add?
Good.
Okay.
Just that we're very excited to have this race. It's the first one on Mackinac Island. I think the island's going to be both in shock and in awe of what takes place in front of them. It's a remarkable type of event to see. These are phenomenal athletes. They're in very good shape. And thank you guys very much for being a part of what we have going on this next weekend.
Yeah. Hopefully it's quiet. No news is good news, right? So hopefully you guys are nothing more than spectators out there at the end of the day, cheering everyone on, and you don't have to touch any of the medical supplies, make any calls or anything. But we're certainly glad that you signed on to help us, just in case we need you out there. I will send all the information you guys need along with this digital file if you want to print it, but we'll have those with us as well. Feel free not only to reach out to Brian, but if you know someone's going to a certain area, for instance, the finish line or whatever, you can reach out to the medic there. I'm going to share the phone numbers of all the medics or the medical team, sorry, the medical team. So you guys can also contact each other. So I guess that's it. Have a great night, guys. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.